What's up, YouTube? And we have some big NIL news brought to you by Virginia quarterback Brennan Armstrong. Armstrong is joining us on the show to talk about NIL and the upcoming season. Plus, we dive into recruiting. Virginia didn't have a great day on Monday night with news of Semaj Turner headed to Nuke. What's next on the D-line recruiting front? We'll have that and much more. But first, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and also click on the bell so that you're notified whenever a video is posted. So with that, let's get going. Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Good Old Podcast. I'm Jackie Franchuli for Wahoo's 24/7. And before we get to the recruiting portion of the show, we actually have a special guest. He's a pretty familiar name if you're a Virginia fan. So let's welcome in Virginia quarterback Brennan Armstrong. Brennan, thank you so much for joining us this week.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm pretty excited to answer some pretty intriguing questions. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to want to know.
Yeah, you've been pretty busy. You know, it's the off season, but I think the big news of the last few weeks is the first big NIL deal with the local McDonald's owned by RAHE Inc. How big of a deal is this for you?
I think it's a huge deal for me. It's super exciting to be partnered up with McDonald's, and I also think it's a huge deal for Virginia. I think it'll help with recruiting. The NIL space is such a huge thing now. In any sport, but especially with me being in football, you're seeing a lot of big deals out there, mostly at the quarterback position. But I just think overall it's going to help, the University of Virginia being able to, get this deal done. It was something that I was super, proud about. I love what's going on with the deal. And I just think it's a good thing overall for myself and for the university.
I remember interviewing Lo Davis when the Cavalier Futures kind of was kicking off. He said he didn't want UVA athletes to get $50 for a hamburger tweet. He wanted them to own the hamburger stand.
Yeah.
Have you seen how much Cavalier Futures has helped you through the process and kind of navigate those NIL world?
Yeah, they've been huge. I mean, my agency that I'm signed with right now, they're out in Las Vegas. So, Cavs Futures helps, hit a lot of the local stuff. The agents I'm signed with, they have a lot of other things, but I kind of want to stick, around here too locally. And, Lowe's done a great job. Cavs Futures has done a great job with, getting those deals, to me. And then we can review all the things that we need to review and, come up with the best solution and, what we want to do with each thing that Lowe and Cavs Futures comes to us with. But yeah, no, Cavs Futures has been a huge help being around here. I think they're really kind of setting the bar high, and I just think that this is their first year doing it, so it's only going to get better.
One of the big things I got from when your quote from after the deal was about community outreach, how this is also going to help you connect with the Ronald McDonald House. When you're navigating NIL deals, how big was that part of this particular deal?
It was a huge part of it. Like you said, I haven't really stepped into the charity world yet, and I think it's a big deal to me. And, Ronald McDonald being right alongside McDonald's, I think it was just a perfect thing to do. Like I said, I want to be around kids. I think we have one locally in Charlottesville, so that'll be pretty cool. Hopefully some, there's some fans in there that I can go make their day and, show up and just say hi and just be around them for a little bit. I know another one I'm with FanJolt too. We're doing a Humane Society charity for that one back in Ohio. So, there's a lot of cool things, and I kind of wanted to stick to the at least one around here and then one back in my hometown. So we've got kind of those two covered, and, there could be more, but just for right now, I'm happy with those two.
I think that a lot of people don't realize that before NIL, you couldn't do this for charities. That was something that you couldn't use your name, image, and likeness to help charities you were connected. How important was it that was one of the first forays you wanted to do? And how happy are you that you finally able to kind of give back before you even leave college?
Yeah, I mean, this NIL, like you said, the NIL space has opened up some of the avenues. We weren't able to do charity before this NIL thing came about. We weren't able to receive money. So there's just a lot of cool things that, this thing is opening up for us. And, I'm in such a, unique spot, and I'm super grateful for everything that I've done and I have and all that. And so why not give back? I have, I feel like I should, and that's just something that I kind of grow up. My mom always telling me to give back to whatever it is, whatever you love. I mean, if you're able to do it, do it. So I just feel like I'm able to do it, so why not do it?
And when it comes to this NIL deal, if people aren't realize what the details are, you are going to have a meal part of it in one of these local McDonald's. Have they talked to you about what your meal would look like? Are you going to have a Brennan Armstrong toy and a Happy Meal?
It's pretty cool actually figuring a Happy Meal, but we haven't talked completely overall like what it's going to look like. They'll come down to Charlottesville and then we'll have meetings and stuff. So there's still stuff that needs to be solidified. But no, like I said, I'm super excited about everything that's coming with this thing. We'll probably obviously have it out before the season starts, maybe in August when we're in fall camp. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting things with this McDonald's thing that we're still working through and trying to figure everything out. The names of different things. The meal, what I want in the meal. So yeah, I'm super excited about it.
Have you already kind of discussed a little bit what you want in a meal? Have you said like, this is my favorite meal at McDonald's, I kind of want this included?
Yeah. So I thought about something. I don't know if I really should share. I kind of want it to be a surprise, but we'll have to see if they can do it all year round. So that's something that if people understand that, maybe they can figure out what I mean. But there's just certain things that they might not always have it in stock. So then if they can stay all year round, obviously while my meal is still in their McDonald's, that'd be pretty cool.
So it's a specific ingredient that's only available in certain times of the year?
Yeah, there you go. So hopefully people will probably be able to easily guess that one.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we'll see. If you have an idea of what Brendan Armstrong's talking about, leave a comment on here on YouTube or head over to Wahoo's 24/7 message board and let's see if you can figure it out because I don't know what it is. I actually have no clue. What is something that you're most excited about moving forward in this NIL space?
Shoot. I would say just an opportunity to make money, I just think that's a cool experience. I think my biggest, takeaway is just how to handle money, when you actually start to get it. And I think that's we don't get a lot of teaching in that, all the time. We might not be in like a economics course or anything like that. So just being able to handle money, understanding that, if you start making too much, if your income is too much, like not too much in a sense, but like, you start bringing more in, taxes come around. So learning that whole ordeal, how to invest, all that stuff. There's just a lot of stuff that I'm becoming very familiar with. And, it's kind of just hit me in the face that I didn't know when I didn't have NIL stuff and, all this came about. So I think that's just honestly the coolest thing because you're going to have to take that with you when you're out of football, when you're working a job. And I think that's just something that I think is going to, follow me the most from this stuff.
That's one of the things you talked about during your recruiting process was learning things after football. So this certainly is what kind of touching on that. And speaking of football, how's the off season going for you? Obviously, we talked about a new staff in town. You already had spring. How's these summer workouts been?
They've been great. We're working really hard. Coach McDuffie, our QB and specialist coach, he's been killing us in the weight room. I feel great. I'm 100% right now. I'm ready for fall camp, honestly. I'm really excited for, just getting back out there, really, competing with our defense and getting ready for our season. But in the meantime, me, receivers, tight ends, and a lot of the guys are, working on our offense still and, trying to dial everything in. So when we show up for fall camp, we're hitting the ground running and, Coach Kitchens and other offensive coaches can, just work with us on the little details and not, the big details of the offense. So I think that's what we're in right now. And a lot of the guys are picking up on it well. And so I'm super excited about it. Yeah, and it's just going to be fun to showcase a new offense, a little different offense from what they saw last year.
I'm going to touch on a little bit about, you said Coach McDuffie and helping you in strength and conditioning. UVA is a different program now because you have a specific strength and conditioning program with a specific strength and conditioning coach. How different is that having someone that caters to quarterbacks and specialists like that?
It's great. I mean, when I came in, and loved Coach Grizz and everything. When I came in, I was under the bar, getting stronger, getting faster at 18, 19, 20 years old. And then, as you start to play a little bit more, you've kind of hit your, maybe peak of strength. Uh, Now it's starting to, now having Coach McDuffie coming at this like perfect time for me at least, and kind of transitioning into me, being more mobile, just more quarterback friendly workouts. And the thing is like I've always been worried about me losing my strength, and I haven't lost my strength. So that was like a very weary thing. And I've been with Coach McDuffie for the winter and now in the summer, and I feel great, and my body just feels more scientifically, but just from head to toe, your body feels more in tune with the stuff he's doing with us as quarterbacks and specialists. And I've seen a drastic change in just how I function as just an athlete. So it's been great. I think it's a huge step for UVA having Coach McDuffie come in.
And my last football question here is, how has the offseason gone for you and the wide receivers and the tight ends? How do you feel like the adjustment's going? Because you said after spring, this was going to be the big part of your development with this team on this new offense. How do you think the first few weeks have gone?
I think they've gone great. We do a lot of different stuff. I think the guys, when we come in there, our coaches aren't there. And so when we come in, we have to be focused and, ready to work. And we're not just going in there to just throw routes and just be done for the day and say, we did extra work. Coach E's not big on that. He wants us, when we go in to do work, he wants us to be precise, because that's how you should be doing any type of work. It has to be precise. So, and I've been really proud of our guys, coming in when we are coming in and being super detailed, understanding what we're trying to get done, because a lot of the routes are that way. A lot of the routes, that we maybe be struggling on are that way. So they've came in with great focus and detail. And honestly, I feel like we've made strides already from the spring compared already to, from where we started with this offense. But yeah, I think that was just the biggest thing for me, was just having guys come in and being really focused, and they've shown that. So, I have no complaints. That's all we can really do is day by day, just be focused on what we're trying to, accomplish.
And finally, you had the Van Jolt thing with Keaton, I believe about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
You got interactive fans. What's next for you as far as that space? Are you planning anything so fans can kind of interact with you? What's next?
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool things we can do. Probably do some cool in-season stuff throughout the season. I'll be hopping on there. Probably with some teammates too, like KT. There's a lot of cool interactions too. We can get some pro guys on there. We've talked about we can just have kind of like what me and KT did, but probably on two different screens, because we'll probably be in two different places. But we can do the same thing like me and KT did with just pro players. There's a lot of different avenues we've talked about. I think just the next step, I told them for me, because fall camp's coming up. Maybe one more in July, but other than that, I'm pretty focused on fall camp and dial it in before the season. And then obviously through the season, I think we're going to have just some pop-up live feeds, and people can jump in maybe after a game, or maybe that Sunday or something coming off a game. So those are some different ideas we kind of threw out there. But yeah, I'm excited just to see what we kind of come up with.
But I gotta focus on the season. That's the big thing, right?
Yeah, that's all.
Well, Brennan, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on here.
Well, it's great having Brennan on the show. We appreciate his time. Obviously, he's a busy man on ground, so grabbing him for a few minutes was certainly enlightening, just to get to understand more about NIL and what they have been up to through the summer workouts. And after the break, we'll be back and we're going to dive into some football recruiting. Obviously, it has not been the best 24 hours, but what's next for Virginia on the defensive line recruiting front? We'll take a look after the break. And we're back. I'm Jackie Franciulli for Wahoo's 24/7, and welcome again to our episode of the Good Old Podcast. We just finished speaking with Brennan Armstrong, but let's take a dive into Virginia football recruiting. Obviously, it's not been the best 24 hours for Virginia football on that front. Obviously, the big news was Semaj Turner, the defensive lineman out of North Carolina, picking Duke over Virginia after taking official visits to both programs. That was a recruitment that looked like Virginia was the favorite. And to be fair, and quite honestly, they were leading into that final official visit to Duke. I actually had a crystal ball in for Semaj Turner back in April. after it looked like it was between UVA and Wake Forest, and it seemed that Virginia edged ahead of Wake Forest in that recruitment. And then Duke came along. Duke did an amazing job during the official visit weekend. I want to stress this enough. It was nothing that Virginia did not do, but it was more what Duke did. It was a close race between both programs. At the end, the in-state school is keeping Semaj Turner at home, but Virginia can't focus on that. What's next for the Cavaliers on that front? So let's take a look at some names to know. Obviously, if you're a Wahoo's 24/7 subscriber, we have broken up everything you need to know on the defensive line recruiting front, plus all the other additional names to know on the board. Virginia is taking a little smaller class this cycle, so it's no need to panic. And there are a few names to know. I think one of the key names moving forward right now, especially in that bandit position, because Semaj was being recruited not as a defensive lineman, but as a bandit at the bandit position under this new defense. So another guy to keep an eye out on that position is Jacob Cruz. This is a athlete that is a little bit new to the board. Virginia had him on campus about 3 weeks ago for the first time, the first week of June. They did a good job of establishing a quick relationship with him. Chris Slade was pretty pivotal in that visit, showing the family around. And then quickly, Jacob and his family decided that Virginia deserved an official visit. So they came in last week between the 13th and the 15th. He was back on grounds and liked what he saw during his official visit. The key here, this is a Peach State native. He's 6'5", 225. He's a good athlete. Again, he'll be a good asset for them. Georgia Tech is a school that's also been recruiting. They've been recruiting Jacob for a lot longer. He camped at Georgia Tech. Now, he wasn't camping for an offer. I think a lot of people misconstrued that Georgia Tech was still camping him for an offer at that point. He actually worked out as a tight end during that Georgia Tech camp. They offered Jacob Cruz as an athlete. And it's going to be tight between Georgia Tech and UVA. Georgia Tech obviously is the in-state school. They also have been recruiting Jacob Cruz for a lot longer. It's something that I've been mentioning several times in my podcast and on the message boards. 2023 is going to be a struggle for UVA early on because of relationships. A lot of other schools have had time to establish those relationships. This is a new staff, and they have not been able to do that. That's why I always say we have to wait until 24 and 25 before you really grade this staff. But this is one thing that right now they're dealing with is Georgia Tech does have that long-term relationship with Jacob Cruz and his family. So right now it's between both of them. This recruitment should end relatively soon. Jacob Cruz told me that he wants to commit at some point before the end of the month. So right now it is June 21st. So the end of the month is approaching. Vanderbilt was a school that was mentioned in his recruitment. He camped there. But I don't believe that Vandy is going to play a big role in there. He might take an official visit. He hasn't locked in an official visit at this time. He is not on Vandy's visitor list for the next weekend. So it doesn't look like Vandy is going to be a player in this. So it does look like it's going to be between Georgia Tech and Virginia. So that is a name to know as far as the bandit position. As far as the rest of defensive line recruiting, I think the big name to know is going to be two Woodbury Forest guys, which is Armel Mukum, an edge rusher, and Rodney Laura, his teammate, for inside the defensive tackle. I think Armel Mukum is up in the air as far as where things go. He did come in for his UVA official. On the same time that Jacob Cruz was on his official, Stanford offered. That changes the game. Next is Rodney Laura. Rodney Laura just took his official visit over the weekend, and we are in the process of contacting him for an interview. So watch out for that for Wahoo's 24/7. But that is a name to watch out as well. He's meant to make his decision in July. He visited Rutgers and Virginia. And at this time, we haven't heard of any other visits. He hasn't locked in a visit to Michigan or North Carolina. Actually, he was meant to visit Virginia the 13th to the 15th. And he was thinking of taking an official visit to either Michigan or North Carolina this past weekend. He ended up moving his Virginia visit away from the 13th and the 15th and moved it to the weekend. So those are really the big names on the DL front. If you've noticed, UVA is not really extending many offers at one given time. Basically, if you get an offer from UVA, the understanding is that you have a committable offer. So right now, Jacob Cruz is your main guy as far as As your main guy as far as bandit position. And then you have Ronnie Laura and Armel Mukim. Those are the other two names that I would really focus on right now on the DL front. Obviously, things change. They've had a few guys on grounds for one-day camps, so we might see new names. But at this moment, I would focus on those three names. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Good Old Podcast. Once again, we are really grateful for Brennan Armstrong for stopping by this week's episode to talk about his partnership with the RAHE Inc. owned McDonald's in the area, plus what the NIL is helping him do in the community and what's next for him there. And obviously talk a little bit about football and all the summer workouts. So once again, thanks for Brennan Armstrong, and thanks for you for watching. I really appreciate all of you that have bought in and have listened in on the show. If you could go ahead and rank and review us on Apple and Spotify, I really appreciate it. So for Brennan Armstrong, I'm Jackie Franchula, and hope you all have the good rest of your week.